In all the noise and nerves, Harry Brook was that only steady rhythm that's helped England march into the semi-finals as they defeat Pakistan. Harry Brook has crafted a beautiful century, 100 of 51. Will Jacks got 28. Shaheen Shah Afridi picked up 4 and Usman Tariq picked up 2, but England won by 2 wickets. We're back at Cricbuzz live. I've got Michael Vaughan, who had a big smile. Then that smile reduced, his palpitations increased. Then he said, "We are all right." He calmed himself down. There was so much drama after that Harry Brook wicket, but we have a smiling Michael Vaughan back with Joy Bhattacharjya.
Yeah, I mean, we've just witnessed something very special. I mean, if you look at the England batting, apart from one incredible innings from Harry Brook, the skipper, the move to number 3, the way that he went out and played with this fearless approach, particularly when England were losing wickets, the way that he kept his calm. What did the other batters get? About 62 runs between them? 62 for 8. 62 for 8 at one end, 100 at the other from Harry Brook. That's. I mean, he's played some incredible innings in all formats of the game over the years, but he's never really done it in a big moment, in a World Cup or in an Ashes series or in a winning Indian Test match. This was the moment for Harry Brook. The move to 3, everything around his composure, his calmness, his game tonight was absolutely perfection. And I'm not saying England are going to win the trophy, but I think England have a damn sight of a better chance now that he's at 3. I've always said in T20 cricket, if you've got players within your ranks that you sit down and go, they've got 100 in them. They've got 100. You've got to get them as many balls as you possibly can. And that's what Harry Brook, whether it was his decision, Baz McCullum, I don't actually care who made the decision. It's the right decision for the England cricket team. It gives them a better chance of winning the tournament.
Well, like Michael's saying, he batted for the first time in T20 cricket at that number 3 slot. While we were watching the game, Michael said at around 65-70, when Brook was on 65-70, he said that, "I want to see him take the team across the finish line." He's made Michael and all of England very, very happy. Joyda, he was like that lone oak tree who stood strong in between that storm, because everyone around him came and went.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. And others are not, there was one ball, there were a couple of balls that stood out for me. One was, again, I think it was Saiyami who sort of put it out there, just floated it in. And the way he went down the crease and then adjusted his shot and just played it down. Another one, he just went inside out for 4. It just tells you there's so much form in that man. And I just want to say one thing, that I'm in really special company, From yesterday onwards, his first call, Shaheen Shah Afridi is not playing.
Yes.
He's not in Pakistan's plans. What happens yesterday, Michael calls it and says he should be playing, and he calls him out as the player to watch out from Pakistan. Then he says Harry Brook should be batting up the order.
Then he says it's Shaheen Butler. He gets Butler.
Shaheen is, Butler's, but Butler is Shaheen's bunny. Everything he's got right. So absolutely, you should be captaining a team once in a while. I think you'd be a really good captain.
Every dog has his day, they say.
Well, Ashes winning captain.
I mean, you've just called it so well, so incredibly. It's been a pleasure.
Well, an Ashes winning captain says that Harry Brook should come up the order. He should come up the order.
I think they were listening.
Yes, they
Here's my theory. I think they were listening. And I'm sure Mike Heston watches. I know Mike Heston watches Cricbuzz, so that Shaheen Shah Afridi move could also come from there. So look, that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not watching, but I just look at it from an England perspective, that they clearly will have to get more contributions. You can't rely on one player. Yes. There's clearly an issue with Jos Buttler at the top of the order. He's just in no kind of rhythm and form. There are other things that England could do to even improve them even more so. And it might be that for someone like Jos Buttler, I know in English cricket he's probably our greatest ever white ball player, but sometimes a move in the order might help. And I look at someone like Ben Duckett, who's not been playing. Could he go to the top of the order with Phil Salt? Harry's obviously at 3. Jacob's going to play this floating role. And could Jos Buttler just slip into that kind of engine room? Down the back end.
He has been a finisher for England as well in the past.
He has, and I just wonder whether that would improve England more by taking Jos out the firing line at the top, put Ben Duckett in there. They probably won't do that because they've won.
Yes.
But I like what they did tonight, because when you're winning, you're probably in a better position to change things when you're winning. Don't leave it till it's too late. You've always got to look, how can you improve your team, even when you've won a game of cricket? And it might be just one area that they could improve the team. And the bowling's fantastic. I thought the fielding had a bit of, but it clearly was a dodgy outfield. You saw Pakistan, and I know you're going to talk about the twos, but England realised very quickly they could just knock it into the gaps and run twos every single time to the Pakistan fielders. So England played smart with Harry Brook, strategically very clever running between the wickets. The bowling's not an issue for me at all, but that batting, they will need more contributions from other areas, and maybe moving Butler down into the engine and putting Duckett at the top. It might improve the England team.
Well, Michael, it became quite that seesaw towards the end because up front, like you said, they lost 3 quick wickets. They were 35 for 3, England. When we see this graphic here, that first bar there, over 1 to 6, Pakistan were 46 for 2, England were 53 for 3, and the last one, we see Pakistan 52 for 6, England 42 for 3. So, Michael, they've lost wickets. As soon as Harry Brook went out, they lost those quick wickets and gave you that a little bit of panic.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Harry Brook show, let's be honest. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes when you've got an ability like Harry Brook, seen it from Suryakumar Yadav, there's certain players in some of these teams, Hetmeyer, for New Zealand, they've got that opening partnership that's working for them. But there are certain individuals, Brian Lara used to do it for the West Indies, Virat Kohli's done it for India for many, many, many years. Only a small few in the history of the game can win games on their own with the bat.
Yes.
And Harry Brook's in that kind of category. He's just got the game, the genius, the shots, and obviously the mindset. But the rest of it, I don't really want to look at, to be honest, because England have clearly won a game. They're in the semi-finals. That's fantastic. But it's come down to one individual. And that's why T20, 50 over cricket, you generally more than one player. Test match cricket, you need a few players to win a test match. But in T20 cricket, that's why you see some of the associate nations get close to the bigger teams, if you like, because it only takes one player to do something really special and you can get close or win a game of cricket. And that's what's happened with Harry Brook tonight.
Joy, the 5th semi-finals for England, and that probably is the only team who's done that in a row because they've done this one after the other.
And they've been consistent across the format. And I mean, today, and different people have put up their hands at different times. And I think now this is the Harry Brook dynasty of English cricket. And I think Pakistan will be looking at their chances and wondering what they did. And there are quite a few things out there. Like there's one place where if you see Shaheen Shah Afridi's taken 3 wickets, and I think they did well to bowl Shaheen Shah for that 3rd over in the power play. And I think that was fantastic. They come back. Usman Tariq bowls the 8th over, and he immediately gets a wicket. Firstly, Usman Tariq should have come on a bit earlier if he's got wickets for you. If you've got wickets up front, you've got 3 wickets up front, Tariq is your second best bowler. Go there, get the wickets.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to, if guys have wickets in hand, you're not going to be able to hold them back. So firstly, they hold him back too far. Then he comes, first ball, he goes and gets a wicket. And then they take him off.
Yes.
And 36 runs are scored in the next 3 overs before he returns and again gets them a wicket. So that's what tells you that, one mistake like that, not bringing him back, 3 overs spell, 36 runs done, the game changes. And that's some of the things that Pakistan did today. You think that they also missed a trick? Their fielding was, England was running twos at will. Again, we were talking about it. 14 twos they ran. And if you look at, I was just looking at, say, the Wankhede a few days back and how many twos were run. And I think both teams together wouldn't have run 14 twos.
Yeah, but I think, Joy, from England, I've seen England for a few years now, and they play with this expansive game. And, I've been very critical of some of their smartness at times across the different formats. Tonight they were really smart because Tariq was the threat. So guess what they did when the other bowlers came on? They thought, we better try and be more aggressive against those bowlers. We had to score because they know that Tariq's going to be the real threat, but he did end up going for 31 in the end, look, because they played him nicely. He got 2 for, a couple of 6s were hit off him, but I thought England's approach was really smart to the other bowlers. And it's been something that I don't think, in the Baz McCullum era, they've played some very expansive, exciting, chasing cricket at times, and particularly in Test match cricket. But I think one of the things that you wouldn't put with the Baz McCullum team was that they were really, really smart. I think this team's showing now that they are starting to think, okay, you can't just play one way. You can't go to the poker table and go all in every hand. You've got to just play your chips accordingly. You've got to play your cards accordingly. And I thought that tonight was a perfect example that England are starting to play with a bit of smartness, a bit of calmness, all right, a bit panicky at the back end, but they got over the line. And it was because of all the work they'd done to the certain bowlers that they targeted. And it wasn't going thinking, we're going to go after Tariq, which in the past, I think they've always gone, don't care who's bowling, we'll go after him. And if it's the best bowler, I tell you what, we'll even go after him as well, because we're England and we play this expansive game. Tonight they played a smart game of cricket.
Well, England definitely did play smart, sensible cricket. But Joyda, when we speak about Pakistan, they had that late collapse with the bat. When they came out to bowl, they had a brilliant start with Shaheen Shah Afridi. The fielding was all over the place. But where do you think it fell apart for them? Because Shaheen Shah Afridi in great form, doing what he does, picking early wickets, that's what you want as a team.
You had to have Tariq come in immediately. He's your second best bowler.
Because it was Pakistan.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
Pakistan
And just-
playing against 11 against 1.
Yeah,
Because only
you
Harry
get
Brook
2 more
played,
wickets out there. Just get 2 more wickets early. Do not allow them. What happens? Brook gets in, settles himself. Then he realizes, okay, too many wickets have gone. I'm not going to take too many risks. So he's waiting for the bad ball. He's dispatching it. But the number of times he just knocked it out in the outfield and they've just run hard. And he's not taken chances. Both Brooks and Will Jacks when he came, Sam Curran when he was there, they didn't take that many chances. When they got out and there was a bit of a panic towards the end. But I loved the way they just, they're out and they just ran faster and they were looking fitter and they just finished so many twos they ran. I think that was it was a risk. They were trying to make it, they know they've lost 4 wickets in the early going. They're trying to make it as risk-free as possible. And they did a really good job of it right till the end.
I think what they were doing, Pakistan, I didn't think they thought Harry Brook was going to be ultra-aggressive from around. He bowled the 8th over.
Yeah.
I don't think they thought that Harry would go on the attack from that period.
Immediately,
They probably thought he was just going to knock it around. And by that stage, Tariq comes back on. The rate's gone to 10.5. That little period where they got, 32 in 3 overs? That was the key period because England started to play. Harry hit one down the ground off Shadab for 6. And he realised what was coming from Pakistan perspective. But Pakistan tried to get away with a few overs and hoped. I think they thought, Harry will probably hit one in the air and that'll be game over. If they got Harry Brook in that period, and what you look back in hindsight now and go, if you'd have bowled Tariq then got Brook out.
Yes.
If they'd have got Harry Brook out in and around that 9, 10, 11th over, that would have been game over.
But Joyda, just with Pakistan's bowling, Shaheen Shah Afridi gave them those 3 wickets. We've spoken so much about them kind of being overindulgent with their spinners. Do you think it's almost like oppositions are prepared now, saying that this is what we're going to get? We play out Usman Tariq, the rest of them we attack. Is that something that England did? And Pakistan were just very overly reliant on their spinners.
See, their spinners, they're good spinners. Don't get me wrong. They're good spinners, but it's not a big target. Shaheen Shah has got you the breakthroughs. So all they are now trying to do is say, can I get that, keep that rate? And if you notice the run rate, consistently it was going to 8, 8.5. They never allowed it to cross 9.
Yes.
They kept it there and then a couple of 4s, again it comes down. And then they know that, okay, the target is within reach. And what they were doing was just making the game shorter and shorter. So like 10 to get 19-10, it's easier to get 45 in 5. So that's what they did. Just shortened the game by taking less risks and keeping the run rate under control. And I think that was a masterful thing because given on this pitch, when you lose 3 to a fast bowler, and this is actually a pitch where spinners are going to be more effective, you got to look at it and say that Pakistan, it's advantage Pakistan. It's like 70-30 Pakistan after the first 6.
Yes.
So what they did, the way England clawed back in this game is something worth watching.
Well, Michael, we saw England's captain do very well, but Pakistan's captain, do you think strategically he was, missed quite a few tricks today?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you can look back and maybe you could have bowled Tariq a little bit more to Harry Brook at the start, but I think the fielding was poor. I think those 2s that England were nicking, if you can just, and it's a good ball, if you're bowling on the stumps and you can just flick it on the onside and you're getting 2 every time, it's such low risk but high reward cricket, and that's what England played. England played a smart game. That drop catch early, Jacob Bethel, Jacob didn't get the big score, but that would have been 3 down quickly. And then there's real pressure on because, that next 8 to 10 balls that they batted together, it's another 8 to 10 balls that Harry Brook's just getting in and, he started to play a bit more expansively, danced down the next ball actually and whacked one down the ground. Just little things for Pakistan. They'll look back at the batting and probably thought they were probably 15 light from where they were.
Yes.
That one ball from Liam Dawson that Joy talked about, caught on the boundary, that should easily have gone into the stands. They probably would have got another 10 or 12 and that would have been a high edge. Yeah, it was a big sway. They're not far off Pakistan. You know, they've pushed England a lot closer than I thought they would. You know, and they'll be in the dressing room thinking, oh, we should have won that game. But they're still in it. They're a little bit like India. They might have to rely on net run rate.
Now, yeah, and as they say, now they are like, Blanche Dubois. They're depending on other people to do the work for them now. They're depending on the charity of others, There's a great play called Streetcar Named Desire, and Blanche Dubois has this line that I rely on the charity of others. So now Pakistan is now relying on the charity of the other teams.
Well, you're talking about the charity of the other teams. We, the kind people at Cricbuzz, have given us the scenarios.com already. This is the best case scenarios for Pakistan, which basically is if Sri Lanka beat New Zealand, then England beat New Zealand, Pakistan beat Sri Lanka. That would leave England with 6 points, Pakistan with 3, Sri Lanka with 2, and New Zealand with 1. These are the best case scenarios for Pakistan. Of course, if there is rain and there are other circumstances, Michael, please explain a little better, but this is best case for Pakistan.
Yeah, just get those, just get it up again. Let's just have another look at those scenarios, because obviously tomorrow night's game's a big one.
Yes.
New Zealand play Sri Lanka. Pakistan will be supporting Sri Lanka. If New Zealand win, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Pakistan. Then obviously Pakistan will hope that England beat New Zealand in Colombo. England will be in red hot form going into that. So that Pakistan have to beat Sri Lanka. So that's in their own hands. They can win a game of cricket. There's a lot to do for Pakistan. I look at this group now and think New Zealand will be delighted. New Zealand will be happy with that result, because they'll feel that if they can beat Sri Lanka tomorrow. Sri Lanka, if you look at the 4 teams in the group, I always felt at the start of the Super 8 that England, probably New Zealand were the hot favourites, England second favourites, and Sri Lanka and Pakistan quite similar. So Sri Lanka will have to play some to beat a New Zealand side tomorrow night, and Pakistan will probably be quite confident of beating Sri Lanka. But they have to hope that Sri Lanka beat New Zealand. And if Sri Lanka beat New Zealand, they're going to be very confident going into the Pakistan game. So there's a lot to play for. But, I just look at England. England have got through to the semi-finals. They'll want to play well against New Zealand in the last game. But it's a great effort, because this England side have been under a huge amount of pressure. On the back of the Ashes, they've hardly been at home. They got straight on the plane to Sri Lanka, straight to the World Cup. These lads have been away from home for a long period of time. So to find the mentality and to find the form at crucial times, it's credit to them.
Well, Michael's a very happy man, as we can see. But Joyda, if you can give us a little more on these scenarios, because now it's all the mathematical calculations.
So the basic idea is that whenever now Pakistan in the situation they are, what they really need is for England to win everything and go through. The more other teams England beats, the better it is for them. So basically they need England to make sure that nobody else gets above 3 points, because remember, there's been a draw out there because of rain.
Yes.
So because of that, they need the other teams to get only 1 win each. And for that, they need a particular order of wins. So the point is that there's a 25% chance of that happening. The first 2 results going their way, and then they have to go and win their match. And then run rate plays no factor. One team goes straight ahead at 6, the other goes on 3, and they're through.
Well, scenarios aside, because yes, Pakistan will be looking at those scenarios, but if we have a look at the way Pakistan's gone about things, Michael, they've beaten Netherlands, they've beaten USA, they've beaten Namibia. But in the full member nations this World Cup, New Zealand was a washout. They lost to India, and now they've lost to England. So do you think they are a team which is looking confident, which is looking like they should be going through?
The only point they've got against the major nations is a washout. So I don't think they're a great Pakistan side, no. I think they've got 4 or 5 decent players, good players. I think there's a few others that you wouldn't necessarily put in a T20 side, but you can see Mike Hesson at every huddle he was in there, he was giving them direction. They'll be disappointed tonight, because on this kind of surface, you would say that kind of surface probably more suits Pakistan than it would an England side. But England have been playing at Palakkale for pretty much a month.
Yes.
So they've known the surface. They've played well against Sri Lanka. They've beaten Sri Lanka a few days ago. So that helped the England cricket team. But Pakistan are going through one of those moments where, things aren't kind of with them. And there's a few selections that don't look quite right. And, the bowling attack on that kind of surface is pretty handy. But the batting, they're a batting unit that is we keep talking about T20 teams. They're a 150 to 180 team. You know, and to win a World Cup and to really force the numbers against the better sides, you've got to be a little bit more powerful. They were a little bit safe in the first 10 with the bat in hand. That's probably what's cost them.
Yeah, and they've got, literally 1.5 batters. I mean, Saibzada Farhan is scoring about 300 odd runs. The rest of his team is barely putting together any runs. I mean, Fakhar Zaman has got a couple of fast knocks. Waheem Ashraf was missing today. They didn't play him. Saim Ayub has not got runs. Babar Azam has been brought back, makes 25 of 24 balls. So all
Captain
these...
hasn't gotten runs either.
Captain hasn't got runs. So it's just been Salman Ali Agha. Nobody has looked in form other than that one player, Saibzada. So, you're in a situation where there's a lot of pressure on the top of the order. And I think the other thing that's happened is that thanks to England, say, touring that much, but also the amount of T20 franchise cricket that teams like England and New Zealand play, the advantage that teams like Sri Lanka and Pakistan had of knowing their conditions, I think that advantage has been diluted over the last 5-6 years because, I mean, look at Phillips, all these guys, they play PSL, they play IPL, they play leagues, they play Sri Lankan Premier Cricket. So they're playing in conditions like this. So that advantage that you have that these guys, the low slope pitches, they don't know what's happening to them, that's over.
Yeah, but also, Joe, I mean, look at Harry Brook moves from 5 to 3. Fakhar Zaman can get you 100. He's wasted down there. He really is. And it's going to be too late for Pakistan, I think, now. But, I always simplify T20 cricket. If you've got players that you believe can get you 100, don't leave them till 5 and 6. Get them in your top 4. Whoever your top 4 are that you believe could potentially individually get 100, put them in your top 4. Give them as many balls as you possibly can because, 100s in T20 cricket, there's not many teams lose when an individual gets 100 in T20 cricket. Not many games are lost when someone gets you over the line with 3 figures, and you just got to get your 4 players that you believe can get you 100, get them at the top of the order.
Well, Michael, if you had to, in this playing 11 or the squad of 15, how many players do you think would make it to a top franchise from the Pakistan team?
Farhan at the top, I think Shaheen Shah is always a bowler that I'd want in my squad. Does he play every game? Possibly not these days, but we saw tonight he's still got world-class quality. Obviously, Tariq. I'd want him in my dressing room, just staying static. In franchise cricket, you'd have a few of them, but at the top level, I don't think you'd be. Generally, when you're picking a franchise team, and you're going overseas to pick your overseas player. You're looking at the creme de la creme, those that are guaranteed to produce for you. I don't know if Pakistan have got many players that can do that these days.
Well, Jyota, Pakistan also had the support of the conditions because they had, like you said, 430 spinners in their 15. So they had all the spinners in these sticky conditions. They've stayed in one location. They haven't travelled too much. So all of that going in their favour as well.
And their fast bowler got them wickets.
Yes.
Which means the fast bowler who they were not picking comes back, gets some wickets. Now you say, okay, this is now set up for your spinners. And they couldn't complete it. And so they'll be kicking themselves. I mean, they cannot have had better opportunity to beat England. This was the best opportunity for them to take a result and they couldn't do it. And that's unfortunate. I mean, they'll be looking at it. You can't blame Hassan. They did what they did, but, he just probably didn't have enough cards to play finally.
Michael, I have to ask you, you spoke about Shaheen Shah Afridi yesterday and said he's your player to watch out for. When pretty much the entire world was saying, Shaheen's lost his sheen, Shaheen's somebody who's not getting that swing going since his knee injury, he's not the same Shaheen Shah Afridi. It's great news for Pakistan that he's got the wickets today, but what do you think he's done differently today? Or did he just get that swing which he's not been getting all these days?
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of swing early, but maybe leaving him out just gave him that little prod. Sometimes a player needs to be left out to, if you like, poke the bear, just to remind a player that you're not guaranteed a selection, and then the next time they play, it's right, okay, I'll prove you wrong. It's international sport, and sometimes you can get complacent. Sometimes, I'm not saying he has done, I don't know him that well, but sometimes you can get or believe you're part of the furniture. And every now and again, I'll look at Babar Azam now. Babar's in that position where Pakistan are going to have to do something because he's affecting the outcome of the game. He's a wonderful player and he's been fantastic for Pakistan cricket. But in this format of the game, I think the way that he's batting, particularly in that engine room, if he's going to play, he's got to bat in the top 2. He's got to go in the first, play the pace and manoeuvre the ball in those first 6. Having him in at number 4 or even less, I think if you went around all the other countries in the world and said, where do you want Babar Azam to bat? They'll say, put him in the engine room, we'll just bowl spin, we don't think we'll get hurt.
Well, Jordan, cricket is such a funny game because I remember sitting on this chair and saying how Shaheen lost to Sheen. He's had a good day today, but that's how this game is. Like he's saying, you step out, you realize that, you're not always guaranteed a side in the place in the side, and he comes back today and shines.
Yeah, he was roaring. I mean, Michael's absolutely right. Sometimes it requires a poke, sometimes a realization that you can't take your place for granted. Sometimes there's just anger to prove to the world. And what do you think? Dropping me? You know who I am? You know what I can do? There's a little bit of fire in your delivery. So all that works. You don't know what specifically has worked with him, but it's obviously worked. And I think what Michael's saying is a very true thing, that finally at the end of the day, rather than have 5-6 mediocre players, get the match winners and, get the match winners and give them as many opportunities to bat if they're batters and bowl if they're bowlers. So if you see typically in one day in T20 cricket, basically 70 to 72% of the deliveries are played by batters 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So if that's the high percentage that these guys are going to play, then you make sure that your top batters are 1, 2, 3. So those are the kind of things that you do. You can't, and that's not really rocket science. That maximize batters
Absolutely.
who are capable of scoring big runs. Maximize bowlers who are going to get you wickets. Because in this format, I also sincerely believe, for all that we talk about economy rates, teams that win are teams which get wickets. Even today, when finally England was nearly on the mat, it was not because they couldn't chase, it's because they suddenly started losing wickets.
Well, bowlers win new tournaments. We've heard this line many a times. The reason we are discussing the scenarios so much is because of what's happening on that points table. Let's quickly have a look at what's happened there. England get that Q next to their name. They've got 4 points. New Zealand, that 1 point because of their washed out game. Pakistan, of course, after today's loss, just have that 1 point, and Sri Lanka still with no points there. But from here on now, if it was all up to Baz, he said, to look this morning where the team is going to move around. Do you see more changes happening in the next game?
I don't think they will now. I think they're quite consistent, but again, at this stage now, they're through to the semi-finals. They'll want to finish top. So obviously the New Zealand game is still a big game for the England team, but if there was ever a time to just manoeuvre the pieces for one game, just to have a look at a Ben Duckett, do you move Josh Butler? They probably won't move Josh Butler because they'll go, he's a world-class performer, and he's been our best. But I just think for him personally, it might be that you go and say to him, look, this is going to change, you're going to have a new role. It might just give him a freedom of life. It might be, okay, I actually fancy that role. Down the bottom end, I'll keep for 20 overs. You kind of forget, I know that... you kind of look at the game today in England, they're chasing, and he's kept for 20 overs and he's run off, got his pads on, he's batting. I know he's done it all his career, but sometimes you just look at him and go, well, maybe he just needs a breather. Bat at 6 or 7, be the finisher. By the time you come out to bat, you're just thinking of one thing, whacking the ball. Whereas at the top of the order, yes, you've got to win that power play, but you're still setting the tone for your team, which is an added extra pressure. So maybe Duckett comes in. Banton struggled in the last few games. I could probably say that they can do this, can do that, but generally when you suggest things to the England team, they do the opposite. So they probably won't change anything.
Well, clearly today they heard you out and they got Brook out.
Lots of ex-players
Yes.
and people that have watched Harry Brook for a long period of time, we could see that 5's far too low for a player that's got the genius to play the innings like he played tonight. But someone like Ducky, who's a brilliant player of spin, could be a good addition to this team.
All right, then let's have a look at what's happening tomorrow, because like we all know now, Pakistan's going to be keenly watching. Tomorrow's game is Sri Lanka versus New Zealand. This is match number 46 in Colombo. Joyda, Sri Lanka have to win. If they don't win tomorrow, they are out. There is no mathematics. They have to win. Their batting has to fire. They lost to England by 51 runs. They had a batting collapse, so they need their batting to fire tomorrow.
Yeah, they need their batting to fire tomorrow, and they've just not done enough in this tournament. I mean, if you look at it, they moved, Kushal Pereira, Kushal Mendes comes back. They've been trying to search to give Pathum Nissanka some support up front because he's the only batter who's really been looking convincing. And remember one thing, that this Sri Lankan team doesn't bat very deep.
Yes.
And now with Hasaranga out and Hemant coming in, Hasaranga also was... he's a bowling all-rounder, but he gave you a little bit more with the bat. So I think there's a lot of pressure on this team. They're a decent bowling side under these conditions. Their batting is just not up to scratch. And if
Also,
you look at what
very dependent on 1, 2, 3.
One on 1, 2, 3, and when Nissanka doesn't get runs, they've just collapsed. And I think that's their primary problem. Somebody else has to give them support up front. The captain, Dashan Shanaka, anyway, the way they lost to England in the last match, again, the question you ask yourself is that, 140 is that a high enough total? Maybe it is. But even then, you don't lose by what? They lost by 51
runs, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Again, like India, had they got to 125, 130, then things would have also been very different. Because now what's happened is, they've got the mountain to climb. They have to win too, and they have to win by decent margins as well.
Yes. Well, they've had a lot of injury concerns. We look at Sri Lanka's squad because unfortunately for them, a lot of their key star players were ruled out with injury. But Michael, do you see any changes at all? Do you see Kusal Pereira coming back in tomorrow, or do you see any changes at all?
Yeah, maybe Kusal could come in for Misara at the top of the order.
Yes.
I think that's he kind of set the tone for Sri Lanka with the bat against England. He didn't come out and he wasn't aggressive enough in those first couple of overs. But look, I agree with Joy. They're not a great team. They're a team that's kind of hustling and bustling. They've lost to Zimbabwe. They've lost to England. They lost to England 3-0 leading into the World Cup. And this is in their own backyard. And Joy's absolutely right that all these players, when we used to play in Sri Lanka, it used to be massive shock. The weather, the pitches, like, oh man, it used to take us forever to get used to it. And by the time we've got used to it, they were miles better than us anyway in those conditions. Whereas all these players are playing in Dubai, they're playing in Pakistan, they're playing in India. They know these conditions now. So Sri Lankan cricket, if you go back to the 90s, where spectacular in 96, to win the World Cup, and they've had some incredible moments. And I still think if you go to the likes of Colombo and Gaul and Candy, there's so many young kids playing the game. So they'll always produce wonderful talent. But this group of Sri Lankan players, they're just missing that star quality. They're just missing there's one at Rasnaika, looks like he's going to be the next Mahela Jayawardene. I think he looks a good player, but when you look at what they used to have in Mahela and Kumar, they were spoilt. Murali, Chaminda Vas. This group isn't quite to that level. And I think some of the other teams have just got used to the conditions. They're just that little bit better.
But like Michael's saying, there is Nissanka who's shown those star qualities. You've seen him dive around in the field. We've seen what he's done with the bat. But there's just too much reliance on him.
There is. Kusal Pereira is a genius of a bat again and capable of playing unbelievable innings. There's just zero consistency. And I think that's what's happened. Another of their really, really top batters, I think, when he came in first and I first saw him, he looked so promising. Charita Asalanka.
Yes.
Today, he's not being picked in the 11. He's there in the 14, 15, but he's not being picked in the 11. So they've had so many guys who sort of flattered to deceive. And I think that has been the single biggest problem with both Pakistan cricket and Sri Lankan cricket. They just haven't had batters who have stood up and said that, okay, these guys are going to be able to play. They're going to score 10,000 international runs, across formats. That is not happening. And both these countries are suffering because they just have not got enough consistent batting. Well, their bowling is still serviceable.
Yes. You're speaking about the consistency that Sri Lanka lacks. On the other side, there's New Zealand, who've just always been so consistent with what they do. We know they'll come out and put up a show, which they will be proud of. Michael, we've seen their openers. They have been in great form because they have scored the most runs a pair this World Cup has scored, 252 runs, an average of 84. The last game, of course, was washed out. They got that 1 point because of that washed out game. But Ish Sodhi was into that last game as well. Do you see any changes? Do you see them going ahead with the same? They've had a nice 8-day rest. The last game they played was 8 days ago.
Yeah, and that's always, on the face of it, you think, oh, that's a good thing, but it's not in a T20 World Cup. It's a long time in between games, So maybe Duffy comes in. Ferguson's been quite expensive, but on paper and the way that they played against India pre-tournament, they're a team to reckon with. They're a team that can really get on a roll and start to play consistent. Darryl Mitchell, at the minute, you'd argue, is probably the best pound-for-pound player across all the formats. He's Mr. Consistent. That opening partnership of Allen and Seifert have got the most runs together as a pair, so they'll be confident. But they'll want to get the job done tomorrow. They beat Sri Lanka tomorrow, and I think that pretty much says that all the teams come to India. I think that nullifies the semi-final chances, really, staying in Sri Lanka. So I think New Zealand are one of those. I think South Africa, West Indies have been the two that have impressed me the most this tournament. New Zealand are always that team that that generally get to the final stages, and it surprised me if they didn't make it once again.
Lockie Ferguson, you think he's going to be playing an important role for them?
So it's an interesting one because I just want to have a look at the 11 again, because this is the 11 I think which was picked.
It was picked and then the game was washed out. So if Sodhi was in, there was no Lockie Ferguson in.
Oh, so there was Lockie as well. Yes. See, what they're doing is that they're getting rid of Duffy, who just seams the ball away, and they're playing the extra spinner. Look, they have all the options out there. I mean, if you look at the number of spin options that they have out there, there's Rish Sodhi, there's Rachin Ravindra, there's Glenn Phillips who can give you a few overs. So there's a lot of...
And of course, the captain Santner.
Okay, Santner, sorry, I've forgotten Santner, who's probably the best spinner of them all. He's probably the best in these conditions. They're fantastic in these conditions. So I think Michael Santner, this is a team that's set up for T20 cricket. And again, Finn Allen, Tim Seifert, they open in the Big Bash League, perhaps the second best cricket league in the world at this point in time, a T20 league. So they all are gun players. They all play this format a lot. And most importantly, each and every one of them know their role.
Yes.
So what are they doing? They're saying, okay, here's the ball's not going to seam around. It doesn't matter. Duffy will sit down. He's not going to make any fuss about it because that's the way New Zealand plays.
It almost feels like the management's so calm and relaxed that there's constant communication between management and the team.
Yeah, I think New Zealand, as they say, they've always punched over their weight.
Yes.
Any country that has more sheep than human beings have a ratio of 5:1 and still can keep producing World Cup, finalists and semi-finalists, you have to give it to them. I mean, what is New Zealand? New Zealand is South Bombay in population.
Absolutely.
That's about it.
I've always said that New Zealand are pound for pound the best cricket team in the world.
Absolutely.
With what they have to choose from, with their pathway programme, with the amount of money that they get given down to them from the ICC, to what they produce and what they deliver, and with the women's team as well, it's remarkable. It really is. The amount of consistent performances that we see from New Zealand in ICC events, it's staggering when you think about how much so many other teams have as well, and the pathway programmes, the amount, look at Pakistan, Australia, the amount of people that are playing cricket in those two countries, and they produce cricketers, but New Zealand just seem to maximise every ounce of what they get. I always say, who's the New Zealand coach? Who is it?
Yes.
No one ever knows who it is because they're right under the radar. They're under the radar, they're very humble, but they produce great cricket teams.
And some of the nicest people as well. Joyda, Rock Welter is the New Zealand coach. Rob Walter is the New Zealand coach, which, like you said, goes so under the radar.
I mean, Mike Hesson a few years ago.
Mike Hesson is, I think before that, he coached a national team, but not in cricket. I think it was handball or lacrosse, something else. He coached a team which is not a cricket team. So it's interesting how New Zealand have sort of found ways to remain innovative, bought their cricket in, managed to get results. And I think that's fantastic. I mean, as a country, the way they play, they tell themselves, let's just win this, because they would have also fancied themselves in the match that was washed out. So they would want to close the door on Sri Lanka immediately, get rid of one part of the opposition at least, and then see where it goes.
Well, Michael got all his players to watch out for correct and all his matchups correct. So, Michael, you go first. Your players to watch out for.
Finn Allen.
And from Sri Lanka?
Yeah, Finn Allen have a day out tomorrow. There's only one Bhattacharjya. He's the only one that looks in any kind of form, and he'll go out and face the quicks early, and I think he's the only one that's looking in any kind of mindset to go and get the big score. So I'm going to go Nasanka and Finn Allen.
I'm going to go two left-armers, Velalage and Santner.
Interesting. These are the names that have come in, two left-handers, and both the openers is what Joyda and Michael have chosen. Let's have a look at who's the chosen one for the Joy Factor today.
Okay, let's have a look. So this is an interesting one because it's just a player who's actually was batting today when I was looking at questions to set. Very interesting. Himachal Pradesh moves through Puducherry. He's now playing for a third state. He's playing for Jammu and Kashmir. And he's this amazing domestic cricketer, Paras Dogra. He's among the top 10 in runs scored. He's an absolutely fantastic batter. He's taken the Jammu and Kashmir team, led them very well, right up to the Ranji Trophy, beating really fancy teams, beating Bengal in Bengal, beating Delhi in Delhi. Really fantastic results. So this is a shout out to domestic cricket. Guys like Paras Dogra are just not appreciated for what they do for the game.
Michael, Joyda bowled the Usman Tariq. He was going to send a question which is relatable to today's game, then he paused. And there was no connection to
There
the
is
game
a connection. It's a game today. Ranji Trophy finals are on today.
It's a final, but it's not in connection
Is
to
it,
today's game.
was it the first day today, was it?
Yeah, first
Yes.
day of the
What
Ranji
was the
Trophy.
score?
I think at the end, I saw them last at
280
100.
odd runs, what I think
158 for
was.
2 is what I'd seen. 284 for 2 now. Is Dogra still batting? I think Dogra is still batting.
The connection, he retired, the connection to it was not in today's World Cup game.
My bad.
And we are amateurs who play at that level. So we can't be thinking about all the cricket games.
I can't. And poor Michael, for him to now look at Indian domestic cricket. He's doing a good enough job with his country. Leave the man.
Well, he's getting let's have a look at who's gotten it correct, because we had no idea. Harjas has gotten it. Harjas, you've won it quite a few times, so well done on that.
Okay, brilliant. He's seeing Harjas' name for the first time. Well done, Harjas.
Well, Harjas got it right today. But today's game has been neck and neck when it comes to that prediction game. In spite of me winning 2, I want to see what's happened on that leaderboard there. Because Murli Karthik still up there with that smirk on his face. Where are you, Michael?
Oh, I've been unlucky today.
Oh, you were really unlucky.
When Harry Brook hit a 6 of the last ball.
I know, it's
power
last
play.
ball, yeah.
You'll take the 6, but you'll take the 6.
Yeah, I'll
Harry
take the
6
win.
basically took out 3 people together. It took out him. It took out, I think, Manoj, and it took out Gaurav. No, just him and Gaurav.
But you got in 1 today.
I got in 1 today, so I'm on the left side of the ledger. That's all I look for. Credit and debit, I just look to be on one side.
And you're in the green as well.
Yeah,
Which is great.
means I'm improving at the
Yeah.
moment.
The stock market in the green always looks good, but I'm going to be happy with that at that number 2. GK, of course, gets second bullseye, which he should be very proud of. He wants to come now into that first class league as well, but he should be proud of that bullseye there. Joyda, it was lots of fun having you here. Always new learning with you. Thank you very, very much. I don't think you're coming back tomorrow.
I'm not coming back. I'm just now sitting. I'm just going to take a lot of money and do something, because I'm just going to listen to what this man says and decide. If you got a stock market tip tomorrow, please let me know. Because he hasn't got anything wrong in the 2 days that I've been with him. He's got nothing wrong.
Michael, we're always here waiting, and so are the viewers waiting for tips if you have any on the Indian stock market. But Joyda is being humble, of course. He is somebody who is not just sitting and waiting for you to give him tips, because he has to go look after volleyball, look after football, look after chess, look after golf, look after...
Do you do the pickleball as well?
Pickleball.
No, I almost got
paddle,
involved. That's another story.
Kho-kho, carom.
No, done, please.
Kabaddi.
No.
So Joyda is going to go. I could count 9 sports, so we can't have him all the time because he's such a busy man. But Joyda, it's always such a pleasure. Thank you very, very much. Michael, we're not letting you go anywhere, but we hope to get a paddle game with you before we see you soon.
Yep. I'll be back on Thursday.
So a paddle game before Thursday then.
Yeah.
That's the
sound
plan.
of that, yeah. Very good. Are you going to play, Joy?
I'm back in
back
Delhi.
now?
Back in
Okay.
Delhi after that.
All right, we'll be playing paddle, but Pakistan's going to be watching tomorrow's game very, very closely. Every game now, someone has something to gain, someone has something to lose majorly, even if the teams are not playing. So everyone is going to be watching with their fingers being chewed off. So I suggest you'll come here tomorrow, because there's lots going to be happening from 6:30. We'll be here. Thank you, Joyda. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Good night and goodbye.